So, Meghan and Harry's docu-series has just dropped on Netflix. What are your first impressions?
My first impressions are that it's incredibly slick, it's beautifully put together, and it's an incredible insight into their lives together. We've seen so much footage and images from their relationship, in particular in the first episode, that it paints a really warm picture of them as a couple.
And did we expect the filming to have started when it did? Because I think that was a little bit of a shock to see quite how early. I think March 2020 was when one of the first videos was taken.
Absolutely. I mean, we see Harry in the Windsor suite at Heathrow Airport as they're about to depart the UK after their last engagements as members of the royal family. And I think it's interesting to see just how much they have documented. They kept video diaries. We see that Meghan has shared texts between her and friends, between her and her father. And there's a lot of insight into what was going on for them while the world was watching this relationship blossom.
And what do you think the biggest revelations of the first 3 episodes were, would you say?
I think the thing that surprised me most was Meghan's very close relationship to her niece, Samantha Markle's daughter, Ashley, and I wasn't aware that they had this very close relationship. And of course the fact that Ashley, didn't come to the wedding because there was concern about the drama that might have surrounded that, given that her biological mother, Samantha Markle, wasn't attending. So that was a surprise. And also hearing about a lot of these things, again, from their point of view, what it was like for Meghan meeting the Queen for the first time, and their obviously warm relationship with Beatrice and Eugenie, and Fergie, as Meghan calls her in the documentary. I think that there probably will be more to come in terms of the family. Perhaps one of the most controversial things, I think, was Harry talking about the fact that men in the royal family may be tempted to choose a partner who fits the mould rather than, I think he said, the person they're destined to be with. Many might see that as a dig at his parents' marriage in particular and other royal marriages, and by defining his different relationship, does it cast aspersions on others? That's one for the royal family themselves to pick over.
And do you think that was a surprise, bearing in mind the kind of touching message King Charles had when he ascended the throne? He had that lovely tribute to Harry and Meghan. So do you think that was a shock to hear that from Harry?
No, I think that so far they've been very careful not to be critical, overtly critical of the royal family. They're critical of the institution and they are critical of the relationship with the media in particular. And that is something that has come through very strongly. And you see Harry in there from a very early age being upset by photographers. And this is something we've always known he's felt very strongly about. And he now has this platform to really go over this in great detail.
And can we expect to see a reaction from the royals? Because obviously we've had recently with King Charles and Prince William coming out about the racial allegations made. So do you think there will be some kind of reaction, or do you think we won't hear much from them?
I'm told that the feeling within the family is one of sadness that it has come to this, and that Harry in particular feels that he needs to speak out so strongly. But also more because of the estrangement. These are real people, real people's lives, as he's impressed on us so much, and they don't want to be part of the drama, I'm sure. So I think that there'll be a response if required, if necessary, if a very serious allegation is made.
So we got some lovely detail about the famous engagement while they're in the kitchen roasting the chicken. What other details did we learn about their relationship that we weren't party to beforehand?
Well, what we got were a lot of details from their friends talking about the kind of messages they were getting from Meghan at the time. And in fact, there's a video call from Meghan to her close friend Jessica Mulroney in which she's saying, "Jess, it's happening," right at the point when Harry was about to propose. And you can see that these 15 electric candles that he has set up around Nottingham Cottage, so he can get down on one knee with a magnum of champagne. And so it's very interesting to see that even then that was all being documented.
Throughout the first 3 episodes, we have seen so many lovely moments of Princess Diana. We had Archie being shown that gorgeous portrait and a lovely heartfelt letter from William to Harry about how Diana would be proud of him. Can we expect to see more of those moments, do you think, in the upcoming episodes?
Look, Princess Diana is a very strong theme in this documentary, from Harry talking about his childhood and how much she protected him and William, particularly from the press, through to her charity work and his comparison of Meghan to her. He very much describes himself as his mother's son, as do other people in the documentary, and I think we'll see a lot more of that as the series progresses.
What do you think is going to change for Meghan and Harry once this has been released fully and the world has absorbed it?
I think in some ways it will put an end to some stories, because they'll have given a definitive version of events from their point of view. But if there are things that other people feel are not representative of what happened, we may see some responses. Certainly it means that they're right back centre stage again, and everyone is talking about this.
One of the biggest concerns raised was the paparazzi's influence in their relationship and with their children. And we did see some evidence of this. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, interestingly, Harry obviously has been familiar with the paparazzi throughout his life, and it was a real issue for his mother in particular. And there does seem to be some evidence of them being pursued both in Los Angeles and in Canada when they were living on Vancouver Island. But I think it's important also to note that there are very strict rules now in the UK media, and certainly paparazzi shots of children are never used in the national press.
One big revelation was Harry addressing the biggest mistake of his life. Did we expect to see that? And I think he was very open about that.
Yeah, Harry opened up about what he described as one of the biggest mistakes of his life, and that was going to a party at the age of 20, I believe, dressed as a Nazi. It was very, very controversial at the time, but he brings it up in the context of his own learning about racism and about unconscious bias, and he talks about the sort of journey he went on to learn more about that, which included meeting the chief rabbi in London and also going to Berlin to meet a Holocaust survivor. So it does sound like he put the work in behind the scenes.